إذا سيداتي وسادتي سنبدأ الجلسة العامة الأولى حول الحكامة متعددة المستويات والتنسيق بين الجهات الفاعلة، تجديد ودراسات آلية التنسيق الترابي والممارسات الفضلة في مجال التعاون متعدد المستويات. Our first plenary will be about the multi-level governance and stakeholder coordination. It's identification and review of territorial coordination mechanisms and best practices in multi-level cooperation across sectors. And I'm calling the speakers and also the moderator, Madam Kobe Brand, Deputy Secretary General, Regional Director, ICLEI Africa. Thank you for being here with us. And welcome. The stage is yours. And you can manage as you desire. Thank you very much. Welcome.
No, it's fine, it's fine. Thank you very much. What an honor and delight to be here with you all today. Again, every time I visit this wonderful kingdom of Morocco, I'm inspired anew, and I love coming back here. Thank you for inviting ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, and our Africa office also to be here with you today. And we have a very full panel. So I'm going to call up my fellow panelists to join me on stage. Then I'll make a few opening remarks, and one or two of my colleagues will help with these opening remarks, and then we'll go into a quick panel discussion. Of course, we are very delighted to all be here with you, and thank you very much to the organizers. So, Your Excellencies, thank you for inspirational moments on stage this morning and also inspirational words. We absolutely see, and we wish you all the best with the World Cup later this year, and we see that the Nexus approach is a wonderful opportunity to make this a very green World Cup, something that not only Morocco but the entire African continent and the entire world can take lessons learned from. So without further ado, let me call up my colleagues, and I'm going to start with, these are all sister organizations of ours that we work with. I'm going to start with Dr. Firdaus Sidum, who is the Assistant Secretary General for Monitoring and Impact of UCLG, the United Cities and Local Government Organization of its World Secretariat in Barcelona. Firdaus, please. Thank you, Firdaus. And then my friend Andy Deacon, who is the co-managing director of the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, GCOM, as it's known, and we're going to hear a little bit more from Andy soon. Our champion mayor in many ways, inspiring Africa and the world over, Mayor Mohamed Sefiani from Session1, who's also, he wears many leadership roles in the world. One is being the vice president of ICLEI, but he also holds leadership positions in GCOM, in UCLG, and in other networks as well. Welcome, Mayor Sefiani. And then Dr. Mohamed Benazi, who is an expert on who's part of the Mediterranean Experts on Climate and Environmental Change group. Welcome to you, Dr. Benazi. And second last, but not least important, of course, another lady, Dr. Ghada Amin, who is the Resource Nexus researcher of the MENA region of the UNU, United Nations University, Flores. Welcome, Dr. Amin. And then certainly last but not least, our inspirational local champion, Dr. Ayman Cherkawi, who is the director of the Hassan II International Training Center of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection. I had the honor to visit the center when I was last year, and what a delightful and interesting and inspiring moment that was for me to see the center in action, doing what it does best, capacity building and training for people across the African continent and indeed globally. Thank you very much. What a fantastic panel. So I'm going to start just with a few opening remarks, and I've got a few slides if you want to help me navigate us through the slides. Just to say that from ICLEI's perspective, we focus a lot on the technical aspects of what Nexus actually means at the local and subnational context. So this is, I want to go back to our first slide if we can. Otherwise, this one is good. But I want to basically say that the whole Nexus approach can be quite complex. If one unpacks it at a scientific level, it has many different aspects to it. It's got drivers of change and then desired outcomes, and how to meet it all. Sometimes we need to make trade-offs. We spoke a lot, we heard a lot about water scarcity, desalination, etc., energy needs for growing urban populations, etc. So we're going to look a little bit for a few minutes into how do we reduce co-impacts of a Nexus approach? What can we do to increase those wonderful co-benefits that come out of a Nexus approach? And then how do we manage trade-offs? So if we can go to the next slide, please. Just a very quick overview for those, if we can move along. For those who do not know what ICLEI is, we are a local government association, network of local government association, working with many other networks across the world. We specifically focused, if you can go back, just to the second slide, the one before this one. Then you will see that we work along 5 pathways, integrated pathways, looking at we're not getting that slide. That's fine. So we're looking at sustainable development through the lens of low emissions or zero emissions development, resilient development, circular development, nature-based solutions, and also people-centered development. And here we want to, I mentioned people-centered development last, but actually that should be first, and it is embedded in every single thing that we do. If we can move to the next slide, thank you. Okay, that's the last one. I think there's a bit of a mess up with the slides, but nevertheless, I want to quickly mention one project that we have around It's okay. We can leave this slide up. But one project that we have is specifically delving deeper into the reduction of co-impacts that can occur in one sector. If we invest, for instance, in a water solution, it may have a positive or negative impact on low emissions or energy efficiency. And then we've got to make trade-offs. And how we make these trade-offs really depends on the local context, and it also depends on the technologies and advances we all see currently taking place in terms of how we increase co-benefits. So if we want to increase co-benefits, we need to be thoughtful about our scarce resources. How can we ensure that investment in one sector will benefit multiple sectors? When we invest, for instance, in urban greening, can we reduce urban heat islands and save energy required for cooling? When we invest in renewable energy technologies, can we find ways to use the land for agriculture, community gardens, or markets? Can we also use residual heat from thermal energy, for instance, for greenhouse gases to grow our crops? We heard about the need for food in our urban populations, growing urban populations, or perhaps for heating neighborhoods in cooler areas of the planet. Not every invention can have benefits to all sectors. So by mapping resource systems, as you can see here, and better manage the trade-offs, we can understand where the best co-benefits can come from. So it can get quite scientific, and it's all localized. It all needs to be contextualized at the local level. And I think we will hear more from our technical presentations in the days ahead, what we do with cities, what we do with regions, to understand where these best spots for co-benefits are. And that helps informing our choices, that helps making sure that we get the full benefit of the nexus approach. Because we know that we cannot address just one issue, which can be perhaps then so detrimental to another issue, to take us backwards. It's like one step forward and two steps backwards. So we need to really understand and benefit from a nexus approach. Look for these areas where we can get the most co-benefits and do trade-offs responsibly then with a people-centered approach in mind. And we're delighted to do that work with cities, and we see fantastic advances that are made in that way. We're going to talk a little, I think, in the next session around water specifically, and I'll let my ICLEI Africa colleagues talk more about that. But I want to end off here just by saying thank you very much for allowing this panel to speak, and now really turn to the panel. So with this, for Daos, I'm going to go first to you as Assistant Secretary General of UCLG, a global network focused on all aspects related to local and subnational governments around the world, and recognized by the United Nations for your fantastic work that you do. Could you perhaps frame for us, and I know you've got a slide or two to show us, could you perhaps frame for us what the nexus approach means in the global context, in our global world today, within the United Nations and related processes? Firdaus, thank you.
Yes, no. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you, Kobe, for the question. I would like first to thank the region of Tanger-Tetouan-Al for the invitation to UCLG and all these panels, but because I think it is at the heart of what we do in our daily work, and bringing this conversation here to Tangier in the middle of the Nexus program is critical. So thank you for that. I would like to raise the fact that the frame in which we are today is quite complex because of the geopolitical context, but also because of multilateralism being put at stake. The question today is not only how do we work on multi-level governance and how can we make people work together, but how can we have an efficient impact on the territories and for the people. We can have many strategies around the world, we can have many plans of actions, we can have many conversations. If all this is not having an impact at local level on the territories, felt by the territories and by the people, there is no action done. I'm bringing this scheme that is from the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, with its last report that has brought different scenarios of the planet and how we are heading to, how can I say in non-catastrophical way, how we are heading to a wall, the way we are doing it. Let's not insist on the fact that we have not been taking the right decisions at the right moment. This is why we are today where we are. And we add to it the complex geopolitical context where we are. So what we have done in UCLG is to work on different mechanisms that can allow this impact to arrive at local level, to raise the voices of the local and regional government to ensure that they are being heard at the global level, as Kobe was saying, especially before the United Nations. We have been working with cities to ensure that they have been implementing the 2030 agenda with VLRs and VSRs, voluntary subnational reviews and voluntary local reviews, But we know that barriers have been met, and we have 5 years left from the deadline that was given to the implementation of the 2030 agenda. So this scheme shows the different scenarios of sustainability and how the livability on Earth is becoming critical. And we can see that the one that allows coming back to a reversibility on the damages that are being done to the planet is what we see here, the C2, returning warming to 1.5 degrees. We all know the 1.5 degrees, but when they measure how can we stay in these scenarios, we are talking about supply demand, bioenergy, timing, and the net zero CO2, of course. We are talking about energy supply, we are talking about buildings, transportation. Industry is out of any limits. It's not calculated anymore to help the planet to stay into the boundaries. And we are talking about what they call A4U, agriculture, forestry, and other land use. But also, they are talking cross-sectoral, what we call food systems and provision for the urban survival. So if we want to stay here, they say, the IPCC says we have 10 years to 12 as a maximum to allow the planet to stay reversible with the damages that are being done. Therefore, this is where the exact frame where the Nexus conversation comes in, Kobe, because if we are not working on an integrated agendas, there will be no reversibility allowed. And also, around the world, we are already living what we call les pertes et dommages, the loss and damages of the effect lived by the climate change. S'il vous plaît, la seconde image, the second one? Okay. So no problem. We are working, UCLG, we have been working, this one is. We have been working the different impact areas where the losses and damages are being have been impacting the territories and the people. And here we can find the food systems where water is included, but also energy through inclusive and accessible urbanization, and also the nature and ecosystem through the land management, and also the human rights, of course, because this is all centered around the people and the territories. So this is where, for us, this conversation is framed, and we believe that if there is no integration between the different agendas, we will get nowhere. So I would like to stop here by now, and I believe there is a second round to speak a little bit more. Thank you, Kobe.
Much for Daz. And again, focusing on the integration and the need to integrate, you spoke a little about the urgency. And just last week, I had in-depth conversations with our top scientists writing these documents, the IPCC reports that inform the United Nations when we go to the COPs for the parties to make decisions and set us on the course towards a low-carbon future or net zero future. But at the same time, Andy, our top scientists are telling us that perhaps we should be thinking about preparing for a 3-degree world, and perhaps the 1.5 degree is not feasible any longer. And we know what devastation that will bring for many cities, coastal cities around the world, but also cities across the global south, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa. So you are one of the leading persons, I would say the top leading person behind the Global Covenant of Mayors, which is a group of more than 10,000 cities around the world. UCLG, ICLEI, we all support that initiative. We're all very deeply invested in that initiative. But you are also very passionate about a new initiative aligned to this all that put it into context in a multi-level governance way. Do you want to share a few opening words on that before we go to the rest of the panel? Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Kobe, and good morning, colleagues. Always a pleasure to be here in Morocco, but as a Brit who lives in Belgium, looking forward to a World Cup in Morocco. I'm not sure which of my soccer teams to back with the best chance to take on Morocco in the final, maybe, of the World Cup when it comes. But the more we can do to drive those sustainable outcomes that colleagues were talking about earlier, then the better we will be. And of course, the goal of the World Cup is to be the champ. And I want to talk to you just for a couple of minutes about this initiative, the Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnerships. Was launched at COP28 in the United Arab Emirates, and at the time was an initiative to link the local level, the regional level, and the national level together to support the delivery of the renewed round of these things called Nationally Determined Contributions, NDCs, under the Paris Agreement, with the goal that Firdaus emphasized as being so important of limiting temperature rise as much as possible. And in advance of COP28, 72 national governments had endorsed the coalition, now up to 74, with Finland and the United Kingdom having also endorsed during the course of 2024. But Morocco is one of the countries that has also endorsed this pledge. And we're in discussions about how we can advance activity and move forward here to link climate action plans from individual cities to work with the Association of Moroccan Regions and regional governors who are preparing territorial plans to link those to this national climate and energy action and to long-term low-emission development strategies. So there's a short-term goal to look at what we can deliver by the time of COP30 and a longer-term goal to support low-emission development. And the pledge commits activity, ignore the small text, focus on the larger headings in bold, commits to 6 areas of activity, and I just want to focus on a couple. One is those voluntary local reviews that Firdaus mentioned. Monitoring and evaluation of how progress is moving forward is very important, and the VLRs and focus across all of the sustainable development goals are very much about what the nexus is about. We can't separate action on water provision from action on energy, as we saw in the beautiful video earlier on this morning. It's impossible to separate food production and delivery to urban areas from discussions about energy, transport, and water. And many others this morning have highlighted those linkages, but the importance of being able to understand how action in one area also impacts on another. The second area I want to focus on is then provision of and access to finance. And one of the areas that we're hoping to move forward on is to link some of the work by the multilateral development banks, international financial institutions, and bilateral donors with activity here in Morocco. And for example, I hope Sefiani will talk a little about the work that we've already delivered through the GAP Fund, provided by the World Bank and European Investment Bank, with donor money from Germany and Luxembourg, to bring forward very early stage feasibility studies to try to help cities advance projects to implementation and to secure finance. And the more we can direct that support towards cities who are preparing climate action plans and may have projects that are ready to go, then the better position that we'll be in. So we have a three-pronged strategy over the next couple of years to then help deliver this initiative. So a global strategy to mobilize and build consensus, bringing the national government partners of CHAMP together at moments like New York Climate Week, the UN General Assembly, the SB meetings in Bonn, working with the ICLE team on daring cities, and other moments like that. Focus on a group of priority countries, of which Morocco is one, to focus resources and support, and bring the development banks, support institutions, finance sector partners, international NGOs and networks together, and then local strategies to stay engaged on the ground. And some of the work that we've been supporting together with ICLE is proposing things like town hall COPs, engagement at the local level between local communities and municipalities. And again, the more we can link this up at multi-level, then the better position that we'll be in. So it's just one initiative focused on climate, but gives maybe one example. And if we come back for a second round, I'll say more about a couple more in a moment. Thank you.
I think let's not underestimate the value of CHAMP as an initiative, because this is something that has been embraced now by 72 countries and counting. I think we have Tunis that has just come on board, which is fantastic, another African country, which is wonderful to us from Africa. And of course, Morocco playing a leading role here, and Morocco being one of the countries that have been chosen for this initiative you've just described gives us a wonderful opportunity to put a spotlight on the advances made here. And let's go to Mayor Sefiani. Mayor, you are working at the local level, but you have a deep understanding and commitment to making an influence also at the global level. So throughout the different levels of governance, what have been the lessons you've learned? How can we fast track action on the Nexus approach, and bearing in mind that it's not just water, energy, food, but also environment, also people, also everything that Fidao's mentioned as well. What is your experience as a mayor on the ground running a city day to day? What are the lessons learned, the barriers, and the opportunities? And can we have a town hall COP perhaps in your city one day this year?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kobe. Dear friends and the Firdaus, all friends here, I am very proud that you are here because I am I have an honor to be part of the three global organizations, ICLE, UCLG, and GCOM, and very, very important for us to implement many projects, many programs with the support of these global organizations. I will switch to my local language arabic. Je parle à la régie. Est-ce que vous pouvez, s'il vous plaît, la régie, il y a quelques slides. S'il vous plaît, la régie. Si. Donc, régie. Donc voilà, en attendant la régie, je vais commencer. Donc nous... je vais parler un petit peu des cas, des quelques projets concrets, parce que mes collègues et mes amis, Kobi, Firdaus et Andy, ont parlé de l'approche globale, mondiale, africaine, et moi je vais parler un petit peu de l'aspect de l'implémentation concrète au niveau territorial, au niveau local. Voilà, donc tout d'abord, Session1, c'est une ville qui a 550 ans, qui est patrimoine immatériel de l'humanité et qui est entouré par 2 parcs naturels. Donc, la question de multilatéralisme et de multisecteur, pour nous, c'est une doctrine avec laquelle nous travaillons pendant des années. Parce que nous croyons qu'on ne pourrons jamais implémenter les agendas mondiaux, tels que les objectifs de développement durable, tels que l'agenda climat et tout au niveau local, sans une approche multiniveau, multisecteur. Donc nous, on travaille pour ça. C'est pour cela que la ville de Session1 s'est positionnée au niveau mondial, tout d'abord. Au niveau mondial, et pour nous, le chemin le plus efficace, c'est d'adhérer et de faire partie du leadership mondial des grands réseaux mondiaux, des villes et régions. Pour cela, on fait partie de l'UCLJ. Session1 préside le Forum mondial des villes intermédiaires du UCLJ. Et aussi, on a le titre d'envoyé spécial sur les systèmes alimentaires. Au niveau de GECOM, donc Session1 fait partie du board mondial depuis 2017 et depuis 2021, on est ambassadeur régional pour l'Afrique de GECOM. Et au niveau de l'Afrique, on est membre du bureau exécutif de ICLE Afrique et vice-président de ICLE Monde. Donc voilà, 3 réseaux mondiaux très importants, très influents en termes de ville, en termes de localisation des agendas mondiaux. Là, on est dedans et ça c'est important pour nous de travailler et notamment de nous approcher avec les systèmes onusiens. Et je salue Madame la représentante permanente du PNUD et autres agences onusiennes telles que UN Habitat et UNCDF et autres. Donc, c'est ça la partie internationale, parce que lorsqu'on parle d'approche multiniveau, c'est local, provincial, régional, national et mondial. Là, j'ai commencé par ça et je vais parler des autres niveaux de gouvernance et de multiniveau à travers des projets, des initiatives concrètes. Donc, tout d'abord, il fallait avoir une vision. C'est pour cela qu'on a élaboré une vision en 2018, ça a été présenté à Session1 lors du premier Forum mondial des villes intermédiaires, c'est la vision 2030. Comment implémenter avec l'appui de CGLU et de Feldaus en particulier, qui nous a aidés avec une approche participative. Donc nous avions la vision tout d'abord, et puis la question de la planification. Donc il y a le plan d'action communal qui est réglementaire, qui est obligatoire pour toutes les communes, mais nous avons ajouté un peu plus à travers un projet de GECOM, à travers Climamed, c'est le plan d'action climat. Plan d'action climat qui est appuyé par l'Union européenne et par GECOM. Donc nous avons notre plan action climat, le plan d'action PAEDC, c'est le plan d'action énergie durable. Et nous avons commencé bien sûr à mettre en place un certain nombre de projets. Nous avons par exemple mis en place un centre info-énergie. C'est le premier de son genre ici au Maroc. Et ça, c'est important pour l'éducation, pour la sensibilisation, c'est les thématiques de l'énergie durable, que ce soit efficacité énergétique ou énergie durable. Et d'ailleurs, ce bâtiment, il est composé des conteneurs, de 5 conteneurs recyclés. Et bien sûr, beaucoup d'actions de sensibilisation et d'éducation, parce que pour nous, c'est important d'avoir cette éducation, cette sensibilisation. Puis on est parti au réseau de l'éclairage public. Lorsqu'on parle la partie énergie pour des communes, l'énergie, c'est important pour nous, ça consomme à peu près 10% de notre budget, c'est des émissions de gaz à effet de serre, et pour cela nous avons fait un diagnostic exhaustif, et puis nous sommes passés à travers une action qui nous étions aidés par CGLU et par UNCDF, UN Capital Development Fund, et après par aussi la Direction générale des collectivités territoriales, la DGCT que je remercie beaucoup, du ministère de l'Intérieur. Et nous avons réalisé, nous avons fait un diagnostic, parce que c'était 100% sodium, et puis on a fait du travail avec tout le... Je n'entre pas dans le détail, j'arrive à la conclusion. On est maintenant, la ville de Session1, la première ville au Maroc et en Afrique qui a un réseau 100% LED et intelligent. Et ça, c'est important grâce à cette initiative multiniveau, mondiale, nationale et locale. Et bien sûr, pour les énergies renouvelables, nous avons équipé nos bâtiments municipaux, 50% sont équipés, et nous comptons, d'ici la fin de cette année 2025, de généraliser dans tous les bâtiments municipaux de la ville. Et en termes de mobilité, nous avons des actions de la piétonisation de la ville, donc nous interdisons avec l'appui des autorités locales et provinciales un certain nombre de places pour qu'il n'y ait pas de véhicules, et nous avons un plan d'action dans ce sens. Et récemment, nous avons acheté les toutes premières véhicules électriques parce que nous croyons à leadership by example, parce que nous avons décidé de ne plus jamais acheter un véhicule de la commune qui soit électrique, soit hybride. Donc nous avons commencé, nous avons continué dans cette démarche-là, cette politique-là. Et en termes de l'eau, un grand projet de sécurisation de la ville grâce à l'appui de la DGCT et du ministère de l'Équipement et de l'eau. C'est important parce qu'avec les sécheresses, avec les changements climatiques, nous avons vécu. Mais maintenant, nous avons un beau projet, 200 millions de dirhams, avec une approche multiniveau qui a été faite avec des fonds internationaux. Et maintenant, nous avons bien sûr un projet important pour la sécurisation. En termes d'alimentation durable, nous, déjà en 2010, nous avions été inscrits par l'UNESCO comme patrimoine immatériel de l'humanité, ce qu'on appelle la dieta méditerranéenne, donc la forme de vie du champ à la table, avec tous les mœurs. Et l'année dernière, nous avons, vous voyez quelques photos, d'ailleurs nous avons transformé un bâtiment historique de la ville avec l'isolation thermique, avec toute la réglementation thermique, pour qu'il abrite ce qu'on appelle la maison de la dieta méditerranéenne. Donc, Mediterranean Diet House, donc c'est important. Nous avons inauguré l'année dernière. C'est un petit museau, c'est un centre d'interprétation qui est important, qui est le premier de son genre au Maroc et qui est géré par une commune avec l'appui de la province, bien sûr, et de l'agence du Nord qui nous a aidés à mettre en place ce projet-là. Comme j'ai dit, nous sommes patrimoine immatériel avec d'autres villes de l'Europe, Soria de l'Espagne, Coroni de la Grèce, Cilento de l'Italie. Et nous avions été rejoints en 2014 par une ville du Portugal, Tavira, une ville de la Croatie, une ville de Chypre. Donc c'est important. Et puis nous avons un projet important qui est appuyé par ICLE, AfriFood Links. C'est vraiment important et nous sommes arrivés à une phase de concrétisation des projets pilotes et qui est appuyé par l'Union européenne. Pour l'assainissement liquide, nous avons un projet important qui est appuyé par GECOM à travers le GAFAND et par la DGCT et nous allons, les études nous les avons, nous avons très bientôt passer à la mise en œuvre de ce programme-là avec les Nations Unies, l'UN Habitat. Donc nous étions choisis une des 10 premières villes dans une initiative mondiale qui s'appelle SDG Cities, Sustainable Development Goals Cities. Et ça c'est important, donc toute une méthodologie pour implémenter les 17 objectifs de développement durable au niveau local. On a intégré aussi le réseau mondial de l'UNESCO des villes apprenantes sur le thème de climat, environnement, climat patrimoine. Et finalement, l'année dernière, nous avons créé, avec l'appui de la province, l'appui de la région, 14 communes de la province Session1, le géoparc de Session1, et nous avons présenté la candidature du géoparc à l'UNESCO pour qu'il fasse partie du réseau mondial. Nous sommes fiers qu'il y a un autre parc ici à la région d'El-Bnim-Tadla qui est Mgoun, qui est classé, qui fait partie de ce réseau-là. Nous voulons le rejoindre et nous allons le rejoindre bientôt, Inch'Allah. Voilà, nous avons reçu quelques labels, le prix Hassan II de l'environnement, le prix CGLU Afrique d'initiative climat, etc. Voilà, et je vous invite à visiter la ville bleue de Chefchaouen. Je vous remercie.
A testimony of so many mayors who are front runners around the world, also here from Africa, around how much we must and could embrace all the SDGs in a local context. And this nexus approach that we're talking about here is demonstrated so clearly at the local level. Thank you. We're now turning to an expert. I'd like to hear now from Dr. Mohamed Benassi, having heard from global organizations, a mayor on the ground, as an expert in the Mediterranean region, what do you see as the benefits, and perhaps also looking a little bit into what you would say barriers for implementing the NEFE approach or the Nexus approaches at all levels of government, from an expertise point of view from the Mediterranean region? Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to join this discussion panel covering very important and crucial topics. I would like first to give you an idea about the process which leads to the publication of the MIDIC report. a special report about the nexus, about the welfare nexus in the Mediterranean, which is a robust assessment of the Mediterranean context and the need to foster this approach in the decision-making processes at all levels. So the process starts 6 years ago by the release of the first Mediterranean assessment of environmental and climate change, MAR1. I was lead author in the report with my friend from the National Institute of Agronomic Research, Dr. Mrabat. And during this process, which took almost 3 years, in which there was the involvement of 85 experts from all Mediterranean countries. And the MEDEC, which is the Mediterranean expert on climate and environmental change, works according to IPCC methodology. It's like the IPCC for the Mediterranean. And the idea of establishing this network came from the need to provide scientific evidence which is adapted within the Mediterranean context to the decision makers in this space or in this region. And this need was justified by the fact that in all IPCC reports, the Mediterranean has been considered as a climate change hotspot. That means if we are speaking now about 1.5 degree or 2 degree, the Mediterranean extends this temperature level now. The IPCC report considers this region as dangerously exposed to climate risks. And there is the urgent need to act. And to act, we need a robust scientific evidence. And the MEDEC has been established to fulfill this role and to bridge the gap between science and decision. So the first report has been released. It is available on site. It is really a very substantial report which gives an idea about the climate and environmental dynamics in the region, where are the vulnerabilities, how to assess these vulnerabilities and the adaptive capacities of all countries, and how to overcome these vulnerabilities by different types of action. And based on the outcome of this report, MEDEC has decided to work on 3 special reports during 3 years, a 3-year cycle. One of them is about the welfare nexus, the second about the climate migration conflict nexus, and the third one about the coastal management in the area of climate risks. So I was a CLA in the welfare nexus report, coordinated lead author, and I have coordinated the governance chapter in this report, which is the chapter 5. So according to this chapter, there are many barriers to mainstreaming nexus approach in decision-making processes in the Mediterranean at all levels, from the Mediterranean level to local levels. Among these barriers, there is this heterogeneity among Mediterranean countries. We have countries with less vulnerability to climate change, with much adaptive capacity, and we have countries which are more vulnerable with less adaptive capacities, and also very more specific needs in terms of resilience, mitigation, and also in terms of human security. So in this report, we have linked climate and environmental change to human security, to development, to territorial governance, and also the need to innovate in terms of cooperation and partnerships between the main actors in the Mediterranean. And we have discovered in this report that the Mediterranean has the potential to overcome climate risks by mainstreaming innovative approaches, and the Nexus approach was one of the excellent approaches we have advocated for. The second barrier is the domination of some cooperation ties which generate more trade-offs than synergies in terms of commercial ties, in terms of geopolitical ties, in terms of the perception gap when it comes to the management of resources, to, how to consider these resources as input to development strategies. Let's take the example of agriculture. Many countries in the Mediterranean are agricultural countries, but these strategies are dedicated to export, they are intensive, and they are not mostly sustainable. So they are creating more trade-offs than generating synergies. So the report has recommended the reform of many regional strategies and cooperation schemes in order to align this with the Nexus approach in order to create more synergies and to reduce risk and trade-offs. The third barrier is financial capacities of countries. There are many countries in the Mediterranean which are in a deficit situation when it comes to financing climate adaptation, human security related projects, how to manage some nexuses like, for instance, the climate conflicts and migration nexus, and also how to bridge the gap between traditional security and human security when it comes to the management of the 4 sectors of the nexus. So I invite you to read this report. It is really comprehensive. There are more guidance for different kind of actors because we have adopted this comprehensive approach which targeted all actors in the governance systems at all scales. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think this just highlights that applying a welfare nexus approach is not always that simple, and there are many barriers. You're talking about the barriers and the trade-offs, but also making recommendations of how to overcome those barriers, finance being one that you highlighted, and Andy, I know you understand that very well. We are all working hard to find mechanisms that our local and subnational governments can actually access financing for implementation at the local and subnational levels through global finance mechanisms, and there's still a long way to go. Some progress is being made. We are very optimistic. We see some wonderful examples, but we need to scale it up, and quite urgently. I think I've also heard the urgency there. We're talking about the human aspects of immigration, of human rights, etc., in a world in this Mediterranean region, which is also projected, like Sub-Saharan Africa, to exceed global common temperatures here. So climate change is the underlying discussion point here, and we see that we need science to help make the case for investment into solutions. Thank you very much. It's very important. Staying with the research field, MENA region, which is, which has got a lot in common with the Mediterranean region, but also with its own unique challenges. I'd like to now go to Dr. Khada Amin, who is a resource nexus researcher specifically focused in the MENA region of the UNU, United Nations University, to give us your perspectives about the value of the welfare approach in your region, but also globally what you are seeing, and what are the barriers and opportunities, perhaps also responding to what you've heard so far. Thank you very much. The floor is yours, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Kobe, for the introduction. And first, I'd like to start thanking the organization team and the honor of having me here. I'm from Egypt originally, and as you know, we are big fans of Morocco. We'll find every reason to come here and visit your beautiful country. So special thanks for the kind invitation and for having me here. I'm based in Germany. As Kobe introduced me, I'm working as a researcher at the United Nations University. And the branch in Germany is specialized and dedicated only for resource nexus, where this is the only thing that we are studying and working on. I have many colleagues from different parts of the world, and I have the pleasure to be researching MENA region, not because of its broad and diverse and lots of potential and opportunities it has, but also to tackle the challenges we're facing in terms of managing resources. We have way different challenges, political conflicts, resources, and vulnerability due to climate change impacts. So we need to have unique solutions for such unique nature of the region. The main, let's see, the opportunities is that we have a lot in common in terms of the biodiversity, the ecosystems we have. But at the same time, we have some barriers which are not having enough indicators that are linking the resources together, like sectors working, unfortunately, still somehow in silos. Each sector has its own indicators. So the main thing to overcome this is to come up and develop shared indicators. So get the ministries, get the sectors to come and work together and achieve this linked and nexus indicators, goals and targets. The other barrier is also not sufficient inclusion of community in the decision making. Sometimes we can be, let's say, implementing a project. It can be promising, like in renewable energy or efficient water management, but we can say, okay, it's in the desert, nobody's living there, but no, desert is very rich in terms of biodiversity. There are communities that holding a very rich traditions and traditional management of resources, better than we all know. So this shouldn't be ever marginalized or not included since the planning of the project itself. And we have to benefit from their expertise, living there for centuries and managing the resources and overcoming all the harsh conditions of the climate on their own. The other thing is also to get the acceptance of them as a key stakeholder, so we avoid conflicts. Managing the land use together with them, it's always important. Also, when it comes to the government, it's always key to include also the private sector companies and develop like public-private partnerships. It's always key to ensure not just it's sustainably in terms of environment and water and energy and food management, but also it become economically sustainable to ensure that all these projects will be continuing in a sustainable way from all the aspects, environmentally, socially, and economically. That's why it's key to keep researching and highlight the integration and the potential of having cross, not just across sectoral, also across countries in the region, and work together in solving the sustainability issues together. I will keep talking just about MENA region, but just for your information, we have also other colleagues working on the southern part of Asia. They have also like unique mangrove resources that they need to sustain because most of them are agricultural countries. So they're trying to manage the resource nexus between the food security and also the ecosystem and biodiversity. I will leave it here and then we'll get back in the coming round. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ghada, for your insights. And I want to warn the panel already that we are running out of time and that we are going to do a very quick round after our last speaker as one message, one-liner, one message to this event that is taking place right here. What do you want to see as ambitious outcomes? And we're going to the last speaker first, and then just for you to prepare one sentence as a takeaway message for us before we wrap up this very important high-level plenary and start the discussions for the rest of the day and a half remaining. I now have the pleasure to turn to our friend Ayman Shekawi, who is a director of an environmental protection resource center, a fantastic facility. You've heard the others speak. We've not heard too much about nature and biodiversity. Maybe you want to bring that in a little. Or what is your experience? How do we bring the environment into these discussions when we talk about integrated solutions at multi-level governance level? Please, the floor is yours. Thanks, Mohammed.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to engage in this event and also take part in this great panel. And to try to address some level the very interesting question you brought, I would like to bring 3 keywords. Among those keywords, I was very happy to hear Major Sofiani refer to education and awareness raising, because it is very much at the core of what we do at the foundation. So myself, I'm the director of the Hassan II International Center for Environmental Training, which is the academic arm of the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, which is chaired, of course, by Her Royal Highness Princess Al Hasna. So when we look at education all along life. So we start with preschool children all the way to the private sector, local authorities. We work a lot with the Interior Ministry, with the local authorities. Very happy to see my good friend Cizo here with us in the room. We work with universities. We work also with schools, primary schools and high schools. And I'm bringing the point of primary school because as one of our programs called Eco Schools, we are working on this very nexus. We are looking at food at the same time that we're looking at energy, at the same time that we're looking at all the other issues, such as waste, such as, of course, the water being the third in this particular element, but within the context, of course, of the SDG, but looking at these 3 elements also. So education matters to us a lot. And capacity building within the space of education is also something that we are very keen on. Specifically, you mentioned multi-level governance, and we're very happy to have this very strong partnership with the Interior Ministries for many years now. We've been building the capacity of local authorities in Morocco in terms of structuring projects so that they are eligible for climate finance, be it at the national level or international level. So this kind of capacity is very important and transformational. The skills are there. It's about bridging the skills that are in existence at the local level to the requirement that you see at the international level. That matters to us quite a bit. So that was my first keyword. The second keyword would be integration. So integration, I wanted to provide a concrete example of that. And that's very happy to see our friends from UNDP here with us. And we work closely with UNDP on a project in Marrakesh called Marrakesh Sustainable City. And when it comes to integration, we are keen on making sure that we have an integrated approach to addressing the issues in the city in a manner that makes a difference. Looking at issues such as mobility, for example, looking at the Marrakesh palm grove, looking at the local population, looking at schools, looking at businesses, looking at waste, inter alia. There are far more activities in that project. So integration also makes a difference in that regard. And building on also something that I've heard here. And my third and last point will be youth. Youth matters to us a lot. We have a lot of initiatives in that regard, and just actually I was looking at the stand that we're sitting on is blue, and a few months ago in a room just over there in the same hotel, we were attending here the Blue Africa Summit at the same time as the Ministerial African Consultation for UNOC 3, the Ocean Conference. And in that space we also made sure, in collaboration with our partners, to create and secure a space for youth from Africa to also share their perspectives, share the projects that they're working on so that they can be supported, but also inspire further action in that regard. And I believe that multi-age, in addition to multi-level governance, has a tremendous potential to make a sustainable difference for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Inspiring words. And for those For those of you who have not yet visited that center in Saleh, please, next time you're on Rabat or Saleh, please ask Mohammed if you could come and visit him. It is inspirational, from the food gardens to everything at that center. Wonderful work that is happening there. This is a very high-level, astute panel with a lot of rich knowledge, and I wish we had more time to delve into these very important issues. But what I've heard from you is that we need really, Marwa, I think Khada, you said it very well, that we need many levels of government, but also many divisions of government coming on board, and the private sector was mentioned as well. So I think just a hats off to the organizers of this event. You have the private sector here, you have so many ministries here, you have the United Nations here, you have international organizations, you've got cities, you've got the youth was just here getting awards. You're getting a lot of things right that is critically needed to make the welfare nexus approach work, not only in Morocco, but as an example for the rest of us in Africa, but internationally as well. And it's wonderful that Africa can bring solutions and innovations to the rest of the world. If you ask our friends at AI, ChatGPT, you can call them whatever you want to, they'll tell you that we are going to be the most populous continent in the world 50, 100 years from now. We will have not perhaps the biggest cities, maybe Asia will win in that regard with the most people in a city, but we will have the most big cities in the world. We are urbanizing at a rapid pace, so we need to think how we are going to provide food, shelter, jobs, and lifestyles, quality of life for a really fast-growing young urban population that is going to be the Africa of tomorrow. And we need to start right now, today, in the wake of climate change, in the wake of global change. This is Africa's moment to define its future. And we're taking global, fantastic examples away from us, which we've already heard this morning. Thank you to the many ministries who have come together here today to support this initiative. It's incredibly important to have national government at all aspects of national government represented here. And we are going to ask the panel, and I'm going to start just changing things around a little bit. I'm going to start with the two gentlemen in the middle, a mayor and a scientist. Give us one sentence. Then we're going to go to the two ladies, and then we'll end off with the two gentlemen, Andy and Mohammed. So first, perhaps let's hear from our scientist friend, and then let's hear from the mayor. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, your names are both Mohammed. Mohammed, scientist, please, your one sentence, and then Mohammed, mayor.
Thank you so much for giving me this priority. I am a scientist, but I believe in the traditional and local knowledge. Maybe I will start with this idea, how to bridge the gap between these two kinds of sciences in order to sustain decision-making processes. This is the first, maybe, guidance to be provided in order to make Nexus project successful. The second message is how to bridge different gaps in order to achieve established objectives and outcomes. In the Mediterranean, for instance, there are many kinds of gaps. There is the science, decision, society gaps to be bridged. There is also the finance gaps between countries and within countries. And there is these gaps between the decisions taken in the very important sectors and their impact on the local populations, the local levels in terms of human security, in terms of sustainable management of scarce resources, and in terms of sustainable ecosystem management. So I think that even if we mainstream Nexus approach in all sectors, without taking into account the environmental limits, how to invest in generating new types of resources, alternative resources, and to optimize the management of these resources, the Nexus approach will not be efficient. I have this belief. And the last message is how to empower people in order to advocate for this kind of approaches in the future and to participate in their implementation. It has been mentioned that local communities are not so involved in decision-making processes. The economic actors, the same. The young people. So it's time to make this transformative change and to give space to all actors to participate in decision-making processes that will shape their future. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Mayor Sefiani.
First, thank you, Kobe, for your excellent moderation for this very high-level panel. I have 3 ideas to share with you, very short ideas. First one, I think that multi-level action is not an option. Is necessary, is a unique solution to implement our programs, our projects of sustainability of climate, water, energy, and the food system. Second idea, I think we must act now. Implementation, as I say always, implementation, and now, right now. إذا بعجالة, I will traduce these 2 sentences. أظن أنه مسألة العمل المتعدد المستويات multi-level action ماشي خيار، ماشي واحد الخيار، هي ضرورة حتمية من أجل إنجاز وتسيير هذه البرامج التنموية المتعلقة بالمناخ بما فيها الطاقة والأمن الغذائي والماء. هذه الفكرة الأولى. الفكرة الثانية خص التنزيل على أرض الواقع والآن ماشي غدا لأن كاين emergency كاين مسألة ديال الاستعجال. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's turn to our expert, Dr. Amin Hada Amin from United Nations University. Final words from you.
Okay, it's working. Well, first of all, I'd like to conclude by thanks again. Thank you, Kobe, for being with us. We've been over time. But the last thing is that we need to develop and keep building capacities of the communities, of researchers, of all the stakeholders, and be sure that we are all on the same page and we are all seeing the big picture. Otherwise, we will be fragmented, working in silos. But other than that, capacity building and research is key, and also, of course, implementation, as Dr. Muhammad mentioned. So, yeah, I will be brief, but yeah, thank you so much.
And for Dawes, let's come to UCLG for your final reflections.
Hello. Oh, thank you, Kobe. Just a quick, I know we have to make it short. 10 days ago, we were in Ecuador with the president of the UCLG Intermediary Cities. This event was about to be canceled because they had no rain. No rain was meaning no electricity to receive the event, but it also means no food. And they had problems of unrest and security. And the country was about to enter a wild cycle, but then the rain arrived, and now they have water. And so just to put a little bit into context again, what we are talking about, it is absolutely integrated. First suggestion, we have a multilateral, multi-level agreement with Morocco. It is a unique one in its of its kind. It was signed in 2018 in Session1 between UCLG, UN Habitat, and Morocco. And it is multi-level because it is with the local government of Morocco. And this, my suggestion is that to bring the Nexus recommendations to this project that is ongoing, And it is framed into the new model of development that Morocco is having. So I think it is a fantastic frame to bring it into, and I think it will go very well with the intermediary cities. This is the first thing. The second thing is, I believe that the UN Habitat's last report on cities and climate, we together, UCLG, ICLE, and the partners wrote the chapter on governance and how to implement multi-level governance. Please go and find it there. There are many ways of talking about it, but I believe that there is one thing that is important is the concept of whole of governance with the citizenship at the core of it. And this is something, we cannot talk about multi-level governance without talking about the citizenship at the heart of this. And this is something in Morocco that is very known. 20 years ago, I began this political career with ENDH, the National Initiative of Human Development, launched by His Majesty the King. And 20 years ago, we are at a new model of development. So I think that we are quite well. And I believe that the community is at the heart of the whole of governance is important. The last point is, this is about the WEFE. I suggest to bring the communities into it and the people-centered approach for the Nexus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Firdaus. And I know that you are speaking on behalf of a global organization, but you are Moroccan, so I think you are very proud to be here today and to see how this country, this kingdom of Morocco, is really embracing the concept in so many right ways. So thank you very much for your inputs. Let us turn to your fellow countrymen. And I'd like to now go to Ayman Shekawi for your final reflections before we come to you, Andy, just on how you would like to see the outcome and what is the message to this community who's going to be spending the next day and a half together here. If we can get the microphone working there. There we go. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I want to express my appreciation for your own appreciation of the center and indicate that all of you are very welcome to visit us at any point in time. Please let me know. When it comes to answering your questions, I think that we had a beautiful example earlier with the signing of that Memorandum of Understanding. That was a very positive example. When we listened to Firdaus' presentation earlier and we saw the scale of the challenge, I was reminded of the caves of Hercules that are not far from here. And you feel like you need his might to deal with that. But at the heart of it, we believe it's not about an addition of effort, it's about a multiplication of effort. And in our role as a facilitator of partnerships, and we are very keen to have that role, and we do play it, and we're going to do more of it at the international level in Africa. You mentioned quite a bit about Africa, through initiatives such as the African Youth Climate Hub or the African Green Universities and Youth Education Network, but also at the local and regional level here in Morocco, very close to the ground. And we have this beautiful project that we're working on together with the region here in Tanger-Tetouan-Al when it comes to localizing our carbon footprint calculator to the emission factors that are adapted to the reality that exists here, so that again we can be very relevant and be a bridge and a facilitator of these impacts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I think again, you know, there's so much innovation taking place, Herculean efforts needed, the Hercules caves referred to here, but together I think we can. And I think this is the message we've been hearing. So Andy, talking on behalf of the Global Covenant of Mayors, what is your take-out message and your message to this community here in Morocco today?
Thank you, colleagues. 3 words that in English all start with the letter I, but are not all implementation. But it is one of them. So firstly, colleagues of Dr. Shekawi mentioned integration. You mentioned bringing in other government departments, new partners into this space. To do that and make it work successfully, we need to break down silos. Too often in local government, one department does not talk to another. One ministry does not talk to another at the national level. The national level and the multilateral agreements is a whole other mess at the moment. So we need integration, firstly. Secondly, then we need to make space for innovation. There are innovative financing models. We heard Minister Ben Ali talk about opportunities for innovative approaches and technical solutions to some of the stresses within the WEFE framework, and we need to make space for that. The Global Covenant of Mayors has some frameworks and is working with the IPCC and others to integrate those, and we would welcome the chance to bring those here to this region and to Morocco. So innovation, and thirdly is implementation at the local level. And the provision of finance needs to be an important part of that. But as others have said, capacity building and expertise, very important. These are new approaches, new techniques, and the more we can build up our staff, build up local capacity, and integrate community and other voices that are not always brought into the debate, so it's not always the usual suspects in the conversation, then the better we will be. So integration, innovation, implementation.
And let's go with the I's for a moment. I would like to add another I, and that is inspiration. I feel inspired today by what you have all said, by what we've seen on the stage earlier, and by what's happening, what's lying ahead in this very dense program. So thank you very much once again to all the organizers, to everybody that is here together in the next 2 days. Let's inspire each other. This is a time where the world is changing rapidly, but we need hope, we need inspiration, we have the solutions, we have the science, we have the political will, we have the community behind us, and we have to act. We simply have to act. And my last I would be that ICLEI is very happy to be here with you. We're very happy to partner with all of you, and to those who are not yet part of working with us in one way or another with one of our networks, please talk to us in the days ahead, because together, I'd like to just say again, we not only can, but we have to. Thank you very much to the panel. Thank you. Family photo. Is there a moment for a family photo?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Family photo. Thank you very much to Madame Kobe Bren, Deputy Secretary General and Regional Director, ICLEI Africa. Thank you to all the speakers, Madame Firdaus Susidum, Mr. Andy Deacon, Mr. Mohamed Sfiani, Mr. Mohamed Behnasi, Madame Ghada Amin, and Mr. Ayman Sharqawi had very important informations, and we understood part of all the challenges waiting for Africa. Thank you again. شكرا جزيلا. كانت معلومات مهمة جدا. Nous avons eu plein d'informations à propos des attentes qu'il y a par rapport à l'Afrique, qui va devenir le continent le plus peuplé du monde dans les 50 prochaines années et un des plus urbanisés avec les plus grandes villes au niveau de notre planète. ننتقل الآن ودائما في إطار الجلسة الحوارية الأولى إلى عرض رأي المجلس الاقتصادي والاجتماعي والبيئي حول مشروع نيكسوس. طبعا هناك عرض خلاصات التقرير الجديد للمجلس حول الترابط بين الماء والطاقة والأمن الغذائي والأنظمة البيئية، والمتحدث سيكون هو السيد منصف زياني مقرر رأي المجلس الاقتصادي والاجتماعي حول ربط الماء والطاقة والأمن الغذائي والأنظمة البيئية. Let's receive Mr. Monsef Ziani, reporter of the opinion of the Economic, Social and Environmental Council on the WEF Nexus. Thank you very much for being with us. On a besoin d'un pointeur, s'il vous plaît.
Shukran. Salam alaikum. Je sais qu'on approche du temps de déjeuner, donc je vais essayer d'être rapide. Pendant un certain temps, j'ai beaucoup voyagé en Afrique. J'ai appris beaucoup de proverbes des sages africains. Et il y en a un qui s'applique en ce moment à nous et qui dit « ventre vide n'a pas d'oreille ». Donc je vais essayer d'être rapide de manière à capter votre attention. Donc je voudrais bien entendu tout d'abord remercier le Conseil de la région de Tanger-Tetouan-Al de nous avoir associé le Conseil économique, social et environnemental à cet événement. Et je voudrais surtout féliciter le Conseil parce que quand nous avons étudié... Est-ce qu'on peut avoir un peu de silence, s'il vous plaît, là-bas? Merci. Donc je disais, quand on a fait notre étude sur le Nexus, on a auditionné plusieurs régions du Maroc et je dois dire que la région de Tanger-Tetouan-Al est la plus avancée dans ce domaine au niveau réflexion sur le Nexus, mais également au niveau application pratique. Donc ma présentation va s'articuler sur 3 parties et bien entendu je vais faire un survol du rapport. Le rapport est à votre disposition, il sera disponible très prochainement sur le site web du Conseil économique, social et environnemental. Donc je vais vraiment faire un survol rapide pour vous donner l'envie d'aller consulter le rapport. Donc les 3 parties, donc je vais dire quelques mots sur l'approche Nexus, et vraiment quelques mots, parce que je suppose que maintenant tout le monde connaît l'approche Nexus. En deuxième lieu, je dirais où en est le Maroc en termes d'application de l'approche Nexus. C'est un diagnostic que nous avons fait au niveau du Conseil. Et puis je terminerai par des recommandations visant à implémenter de manière explicite et de manière formelle l'approche Nexus dans notre pays. Alors, dans la première partie, donc les interactions, je pense que vous connaissez maintenant tous les interactions qui existent entre les 4 composantes de ce nexus, à savoir l'eau, l'énergie, l'alimentation et les écosystèmes. Il y a des interactions qui sont très connues et il y a des interactions qui sont moins connues. Je vous en donne un exemple. Maintenant, on arrive à produire de l'énergie à partir des eaux usées. C'est-à-dire quand on traite les eaux usées, les spécialistes le savent, il reste de la boue et cette boue peut être une source d'énergie. Donc voilà un exemple supplémentaire d'interaction entre le secteur de l'eau et le secteur de l'énergie. Un deuxième exemple, c'est tout ce qui est biocarburant. Aujourd'hui, on fabrique de l'énergie à partir des produits végétaux et donc c'est une interaction entre le monde agricole, entre l'alimentation et l'énergie. Donc je ne m'attarde pas davantage, il y a énormément d'interactions et dans tous les sens entre les 4 composantes de notre nexus eau, énergie, alimentation, écosystème. Alors l'approche nexus, donc je disais tout à l'heure, vous la connaissez, c'est une vision systémique qui consiste à dépasser les silos sectoriels et adopter une perspective holistique pour comprendre les interactions complexes entre les secteurs de ce nexus. Et quand on commence à s'intéresser au nexus, très vite, on apprend un terme qui a été utilisé par certains membres du panel, qui est le terme trade-off. Et trade-off, jusqu'à présent, c'est un terme anglais qui n'a pas vraiment trouvé d'équivalent en langue française. Nos amis français le traduisent par compromis, arbitrage, concession, mais en fait, le trade-off, c'est quand un secteur parmi les 4 secteurs essaie de maximiser ses profits, mais il ne fait pas attention au fait qu'il est en train de gêner l'autre secteur, qu'il est en train de diminuer les profits du secteur, de l'autre secteur qui fait partie de ce nexus. Alors, ça c'est un tableau qui est très intéressant, je vous propose de le regarder un petit moment, et qui vous montre comment on peut évoluer pour arriver à une application réelle de l'approche Nexus. Au début, nous avons une première colonne où nous avons des trade-offs, des externalités, des conflits, et où il n'y a aucune coordination, je regarde la colonne de gauche, où il n'y a aucune coordination entre les secteurs. Donc les décisions sont prises à l'échelle de chaque secteur et aucune coordination n'est réellement faite. Si on veut passer à un stade un peu plus évolué, on fait ce qu'on appelle de la coordination négative. C'est la deuxième colonne à partir de la gauche. C'est-à-dire les décisions sont prises à l'échelle de chaque secteur et puis les différents responsables des secteurs s'informent mutuellement après coup. C'est-à-dire ils décident et après ils appellent le voisin et ils l'informent. Un stade qui est plus évolué, la troisième colonne, c'est la coordination positive. C'est-à-dire on recherche des solutions communes et positives, et il y a une nécessité d'une coordination, une coopération plus importante. Et puis le stade ultime, l'idéal, le grand bonheur, c'est la dernière colonne, tout à fait à droite, où on fait de la coordination stratégique, c'est-à-dire les responsables des 4 secteurs se réunissent très en amont et se définissent ensemble des objectifs communs et ils travaillent ensemble pour atteindre ces objectifs communs. Et c'est la véritable application de l'approche Nexus. Là aussi, un diagramme que vous connaissez tous ceux qui se sont intéressés au Nexus connaissent, simplement pour vous dire que quand on fait une véritable application de l'approche Nexus, on arrive à atteindre les 3 sécurités, la sécurité énergétique, la sécurité alimentaire et la sécurité hydrique. Là aussi, j'essaie de passer vite. Alors, je passe à la deuxième partie de ma présentation et qui consiste à vous dire où en est le Maroc en termes d'application de l'approche Nexus. Alors, j'avais prévu de vous faire un bref rappel des 4 secteurs, vous donner quelques flashs sur les secteurs, mais je pense par manque de temps, je vais zapper, si vous permettez l'expression, cette partie, d'autant plus que les responsables ce matin de l'eau, le ministre de l'eau, la ministre de la Transition énergétique, le secrétaire général du ministère de l'Agriculture vous ont donné suffisamment d'informations sur les différents secteurs. Simplement pour vous dire que le Maroc, bien entendu, est sujet comme beaucoup de pays méditerranéens, à un stress hydrique énorme, que le Maroc est très très volontariste en termes de transition énergétique avec des objectifs très ambitieux de développement des énergies renouvelables. En termes d'alimentation, donc nous avons aujourd'hui tout un programme, le Generation Green 2020-2030, qui essaye de développer davantage tout ce qui est valorisation des produits agricoles. Et puis en termes d'écosystème, le Maroc est un pays qui est très connu pour sa diversité biologique, mais malheureusement, nous avons énormément de menaces sur notre biodiversité. Et d'ailleurs, c'est un thème sur lequel le CES a démarré une étude depuis quelques mois. Alors, après ce bref survol des 4 secteurs, quand on a voulu diagnostiquer la situation au Maroc pour ce qui est du Nexus, on est parti d'abord d'un discours royal qui nous dit, Sa Majesté dit, il faut veiller à introduire plus de cohérence, de complémentarité et d'harmonie entre les politiques publiques et à en suivre la mise en œuvre. On a souvent au niveau du CES, on fait des références à discours royaux qui donnent des orientations stratégiques. Le Nexus, ou disons le principe du Nexus, a été mis en avant dans le nouveau modèle de développement qui a été disons, présenté à Sa Majesté il y a 2 ou 3 ans. Donc le nouveau modèle de développement reconnaît l'importance de la gouvernance et de la conception des politiques publiques pour un développement durable. Et il y a également des think tanks au Maroc qui ont travaillé sur le Nexus. J'ai donné ici l'exemple de l'IRES, l'Institut Royal des Études Stratégiques. Alors, est-ce qu'au Maroc, de manière pratique, on a fait du Nexus? La réponse pour moi est oui. On ne l'a pas fait systématiquement, on ne l'a pas fait de manière stratégique. Rappelez-vous la dernière colonne, mais j'ai donné ici des exemples où l'approche Nexus a été plus ou moins adoptée. Donc nous avons le plan national d'alimentation en eau potable qui est actuellement, et d'irrigation qui est actuellement conduit dès 2020-2027. J'ai les PDER également, les plans directeurs des ressources en eau au niveau des bassins. La SNDD, la stratégie nationale de développement durable qu'a évoqué notre ministre de la Transition énergétique ce matin, elle précise bien que l'approche Nexus est nécessaire. Je vous renvoie à l'article 2 de cette stratégie nationale de développement durable qui énonce 7 principes qui sont absolument nécessaires qui doivent être respectés quand on élabore une politique publique. Et dans ces 7 principes, le premier principe qui est énoncé par les SNDT, c'est l'intégration. C'est l'intégration et c'est le sujet aujourd'hui de notre réunion. Alors au niveau des réformes institutionnelles, je vous rappelle, ou des instruments institutionnels, je vous rappelle que nous avons au Maroc le Conseil supérieur de l'eau et du climat, qui est en fait une instance de coordination. Bon, on discute d'abord de l'eau, mais dans laquelle dans laquelle participent toutes les parties prenantes qui utilisent l'eau ou qui interfèrent avec le secteur de l'eau. Nous avons le comité interministériel de l'eau, qui est présidé par le chef de gouvernement, il fait du Nexus. Nous avons également, les Marocains le savent, nous avons également, il y a quelques années, fusionné l'Office national de l'eau potable avec l'Office national de l'électricité. Donc c'est un nexus, en quelque sorte institutionnel, entre le secteur de l'eau et le secteur de l'électricité, pour ce qui concerne bien entendu la production, et le transport et la distribution. Et puis nous avons, dernier exemple institutionnel, et qui illustre le fait que le Maroc est conscient de l'approche Nexus et qu'il a commencé à l'adopter, c'est que dans la formation du dernier gouvernement, on a vu apparaître un ministère qui s'appelle le ministère de la convergence et de l'évaluation des politiques publiques, de l'intégration, de l'évaluation et de l'évaluation des politiques publiques. Donc c'est un ministère jeune, mais qui est en train de travailler sur l'approche Nexus. Et moi, si je devais donner mon avis, bien entendu, on ne va jamais me le demander, mais moi j'appellerais ce ministère le ministère du Nexus. Alors je commente la dernière colonne pour vous dire qu'en plus des réformes institutionnelles, il y a des cas pratiques d'application de l'approche Nexus, et j'en ai donné quelques exemples. Il y a les stations de dessalement qui recourent aux énergies renouvelables, ça a été évoqué plusieurs fois par les précédents panélistes. Il y a les projets pilotes de gestion intégrée des ressources en eau, et il y a également des STEP aujourd'hui dans les stations de traitement des eaux usées, pas toutes, mais dans plusieurs des stations de traitement des eaux usées. Je reviens à l'exemple que je disais tout à l'heure, on génère de l'électricité à partir des boues qui sont dégagées par le traitement des eaux usées. Et puis, bien entendu, il y a bientôt le projet d'hydrogène vert qui est en perspective. Alors, voilà un petit peu un aperçu sur ce qu'a fait le Maroc en termes de Nexus. Ceci étant, il y a encore des freins à l'intégration du Nexus de manière systématique et de manière organisée. Et j'ai cité ici quelques exemples de freins. On continue à travailler en silo dans certains secteurs du Nexus. La limite de l'approche sectorielle face aux risques et au manque à gagner. L'intégration insuffisante de l'approche Nexus dans les processus décisionnels. Il y a des initiatives publiques restreintes en nombre et en ampleur. Les résultats restent en deçà des enjeux et des ambitions et des investissements engagés. Les dispositifs juridiques et institutionnels, et j'y reviendrai tout à l'heure, ne sont pas toujours adaptés à l'approche Nexus. Et puis, dernier frein, insuffisance des informations à caractère intersectoriel. C'est-à-dire que souvent, quand une des composantes du Nexus veut développer son projet, il ne reçoit pas suffisamment d'informations de la part de l'autre composante. Alors là, quand on a travaillé sur le Nexus au niveau du Conseil, on a découvert qu'il y avait une alliance de laboratoires, de centres de recherche et de quelques institutions européennes qui se sont regroupés et qui ont créé et qui ont travaillé sur l'approche Nexus, et ils ont créé un index Nexus. C'est-à-dire ils se sont amusés, si j'ose dire, à noter les pays, les différents pays, et dire est-ce que tel pays applique bien le Nexus et à quel niveau. Et ils donnent une notation basée sur, si je me rappelle bien, 87 indicateurs qui touchent l'eau, l'énergie, l'alimentation et les écosystèmes. Et on a regardé comment le Maroc est noté dans cet index, et dans les 3 ou 4 dernières années, on peut dire que le Maroc a été plutôt un élève moyen plus, puisqu'il a été noté 50 sur 100. Mais ceci étant, nous avons creusé avec nos experts comment réellement cet index était formé et comment il est calculé, et nous avons formulé un certain nombre de critiques à l'adresse de cette alliance de centres de recherche européens pour leur dire que cet index ne s'adapte pas réellement au Maroc. Donc il y a une nécessité d'adapter cet index à certaines zones géographiques à l'international pour qu'il soit plus représentatif. Ceci étant, ça reste toujours intéressant parce que ça peut donner quelques informations. Voilà, alors je termine par les recommandations que nous avons émises pour une bonne application de l'approche Nexus. Et bien entendu, je vais énoncer de manière rapide les recommandations. Je ne vais pas les décrire et encore moins les argumenter. Vous trouverez dans le rapport l'argumentaire nécessaire qui est derrière ces recommandations. Alors, nous avons structuré ces recommandations entre 5 axes. Vous les avez ici, je vais les parcourir. Premier axe, c'est la nécessité de créer des mécanismes de coordination intersectorielle, Nexus, au niveau central et régional. Autrement dit, et je vais aller rapidement, nous avons proposé à ce qu'on crée une structure de coordination au niveau du chef du gouvernement, avec comme secrétariat permanent le ministère de l'évaluation des politiques publiques. Et ce comité, bon, on peut l'appeler comité, on peut l'appeler comme on veut, mais en tout cas, cette instance, elle est là pour pousser à une application systématique du Nexus. Et quand je dis pousser, c'est d'abord amender les textes législatifs et réglementaires pour introduire l'approche Nexus et l'inscrire en quelque sorte dans le marbre. C'est veiller à ce que tous les projets qui passent au niveau de la loi de finances aient déjà appliqué l'approche Nexus, etc., etc. En fait, c'est une instance catalyseur qui va permettre d'introduire l'approche Nexus de manière systématique. Cette instance devra, à notre avis, c'est notre recommandation, former des groupes de travail thématiques avec des spécialistes pluridisciplinaires qui conçoivent des solutions innovantes et faire le lien entre la recherche scientifique, les prises de décision politiques et la dynamique sociétale. Et puis, n'oublions pas, puisque nous sommes dans une réunion à caractère régional, nous avons parlé beaucoup des régions, nous avons proposé à ce que cette instance soit relayée au niveau local, au niveau des régions, par des sous-comités régionaux qui permettent après de faire disons, la déclinaison de tout ce qui est fait à l'échelle nationale, le faire à l'échelle régionale. Voilà, alors le deuxième axe, c'est le renforcement des cadres juridiques et les politiques publiques liées au Nexus. Donc, premièrement, cohérence juridique, faire une évaluation et une révision des cadres juridiques pour y intégrer les principes du Nexus. Je vous donne un exemple parmi d'autres, la loi sur l'eau, la dernière loi sur l'eau. Quand on la lit en filigrane, on comprend qu'il faut que le secteur de l'eau soit géré de manière intersectorielle, c'est-à-dire il faut prendre en compte tout ce qui se passe dans l'agriculture, l'eau potable, l'hydroélectricité, etc., etc. Ce que nous proposons au niveau du Conseil, c'est être davantage explicite dans la loi sur l'eau, sur la nécessité de l'approche Nexus. Et faire de même pour les autres lois sectorielles, l'énergie, l'alimentation, tout ce qui gère également les écosystèmes. Voilà, j'accélère. Donc je passe à l'approche. Donc je vais revenir là-dessus quand même. Je vais revenir là-dessus quand même pour vous dire qu'on a beaucoup discuté au sein de la commission qui a travaillé sur le sujet. Est-il utile, est-il pertinent à ce que le Maroc ait une loi Nexus? Je le dis parce que certains pays l'ont fait. Certains pays ont légiféré le Nexus, ont vraiment sorti une loi Nexus. Et en fait, je reviens à ce que je disais tout à l'heure, l'approche Nexus est déjà dans la SNDD. Et la SNDD a fait l'objet d'une loi cadre. Donc en fait, on peut retenir que pour ce qui concerne le Maroc, l'approche Nexus est déjà dans une loi cadre. On n'a pas besoin de créer une loi cadre spécifique pour le Nexus. Voilà, alors promouvoir la planification stratégique et innovante, je crois que vous l'avez deviné, tout ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure doit être appliqué au niveau de la planification, j'allais dire quotidienne de tous ces secteurs, avec l'abandon de la planification en silo, l'inclusion des acteurs, la flexibilité et la réactivité. Quatrième axe, c'est renforcer et diversifier les mécanismes de financement pour la mise en œuvre du Nexus. Ça, c'est un axe très important. Pourquoi? Parce que le financement peut être un garde-fou pour s'assurer que l'approche Nexus a été adoptée. Il y a même des gens qui vous disent ne faites rien du tout, focalisez uniquement sur cet axe. Parce qu'en fait, les finances, c'est un passage obligé. Donc ce qu'on dit ici, c'est avoir une programmation budgétaire orientée Nexus, avoir des mécanismes incitatifs au niveau du financement et en particulier pour le partenariat public-privé. Et là, je voulais dire, surtout à nos amis qui viennent de l'étranger, que le Maroc dispose d'une très solide loi sur les PPP. Les investisseurs internationaux peuvent venir proposer des projets, c'est ce qu'on appelle l'offre spontanée. Et notre proposition au niveau du Conseil, c'est de favoriser les projets PPP qui adoptent l'approche Nexus, leur donner un bonus en quelque sorte, de manière à ce que progressivement tout le monde s'habitue à adopter l'approche Nexus, et en particulier le secteur privé. Troisième colonne, les microfinancements pour des initiatives locales, très important. Et puis l'accès aux financements internationaux. Nous avons, dans le cadre des auditions que nous avons fait dans le cadre du Nexus, auditionné quelques bailleurs de fonds. Je peux les citer, la Banque mondiale et la BAD, la Banque africaine de développement. Et sachez que ces bailleurs de fonds privilégient de plus en plus les projets qui adoptent l'approche Nexus. Ils ne veulent plus, ou de moins en moins, disons, donner la priorité à des projets qui sortent uniquement d'un secteur. Ils veulent s'assurer que les projets qui sont présentés au financement ont adopté l'approche Nexus et qu'ils tiennent compte, qu'ils essaient d'optimiser les bénéfices de plusieurs secteurs. Et puis je termine avec l'axe 5, renforcer les capacités des acteurs pour la mise en œuvre de l'approche Nexus. C'est tout à fait évident. Il faut vulgariser cette approche auprès des décideurs. Nous sommes même allés plus loin. Nous avons dit qu'il faut l'introduire déjà au niveau de l'éducation et de la formation des ingénieurs, des techniciens, des décideurs. Et nous avons surtout insister sur le changement du mindset des décideurs. Parce que moi j'ai beaucoup travaillé avec l'administration, nous avons une administration au Maroc extrêmement compétente, mais souvent les gens sont jaloux de leur secteur. C'est-à-dire, quelqu'un qui travaille dans un ministère, il défend les projets de son ministère et il a du mal à dialoguer avec les autres ministères. Donc nous avons beaucoup axé sur la nécessité de sensibiliser les directeurs pour qu'ils s'ouvrent à leurs collègues des autres ministères. Et c'est ça l'approche Nexus. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention.
Merci beaucoup à Monsieur Monsef Ziani, rapporteur de l'avis du CESE sur le Nexus. Merci infiniment. On avait normalement programmé un troisième panel qui va être reporté jusqu'après le déjeuner parce qu'on va prendre la pause. طبعا كان نقاش كان غيكون ولكن تم تأجيله لما بعد وجبة الغداء، دونك بالصحة والراحة، ونلتقي هنا بعد ساعة إن شاء الله.